Ho, ho, ho,
Ho,
mode.
ho, ho.
Santa mode.
Oh, yeah, what?
What's that? Oh, no, no, we don't
Oh,
want to pay
God.
for that song.
Oh, no.
How much? No, 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 no. He's Chuck Berry's going to
Oh,
sue us.
God.
No, 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 no. We had a Tesla Model 3 in the garage today at the drive, and Alex Roy's here to give me a walkthrough of the display because I drive a 15-year-old Jaguar and it doesn't have anything like this. And there's some new stuff in the Model 3, right, that we can go through. And the first thing that I noticed is it's landscape and not portrait mode anymore.
Well, the Tesla Model S and X have this really beautiful vertically oriented display. In the Model 3, they switched it to this. I prefer the vertical orientation because if you put your car at the bottom in the nav, you can see kind of where you're going. But
Yeah.
you know, it's neither here nor there. This is really interesting because it's light years ahead of what's available in pretty much any other car. And even someone like myself who prefers analog gauges and buttons, I really like this system. So here you have at the bottom the controls that you're likely to use most frequently. And in the middle, you've got obviously the navigation. On the left, you've got basic car status and basic information. So the first thing you see is the car icon, which enables access to a basic level of control.
All right, so wait a minute. What's on the stalks, right? So just wipers and transmission, and everything else is here.
Everything else is there. The S and X used Daimler stocks, which were actually quite nice and had more functionality than these. For our purposes, you have transmission here, and this is also your autopilot and radar cruise control engagement stock. The left side is just turn signals and wipers.
Right, and unless we forget, this is the card that basically gets you in here and gets the car booted up.
Well, the funny thing about the card is that it's considered a step forward, except for people who lose things. I'm more likely to lose a card than I am a car key. But if you lose your Tesla key card, you can still use the phone app to open the car and do basic things as long as your phone is charged.
And if you're the kind of person who walks around with a dead phone and you forget your key, you're pretty much out of luck.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
Okay.
But at least you have two choices.
Right.
So here, you tap the car icon and you get your basic control set. If all goes well, you really will never have to use this submenu at all because the lights are automatic. You would adjust your mirrors and steering wheel and then store that here in the driver profile. So with any luck, you'll never have to look at this again.
Hey, wait a minute. Go back to that. Was that a valet mode? I have a valet mode in the Jag.
That's a breakdown mode. That's a breakdown mode. Hopefully it's not a Tesla mode either.
Right.
Then the next submenu is lights. Again, this is set and forget. Locks, set and forget. It shows you all the card keys that are linked.
So we logged in right now with the key card. And
Yeah.
so that's why that's at the top?
And there's a second key card. Every Tesla Model 3 comes with two of them.
Got it.
Because they know you're going to lose one.
Right.
And then these are the other phones that are linked to the car.
Got it.
You want to make sure that if you buy a used Model 3, you disconnect the old owner's phones. A display, this is also set and forget. Screen clean mode is so you can clean the screen. Driving mode, this is where things get interesting. Standard acceleration unleashes the full power of the Model 3.
So noticeably, this model doesn't have the ludicrous mode.
No, for that you've got to get the Performance Edition, which will cost you an extra $20,000.
So the sport mode that's the equivalent to ratio, right?
It's ratio, and it's all electronically controlled.
Got it.
This is interesting. Regenerative braking. Most people who get into an electric vehicle for the first time aren't really used to how much it slows down when you take your foot off the throttle. So low regenerative braking, it is going to feel kind of like a normal car. You let off the throttle and the car kind of coasts.
Right.
But in standard mode, the car is going to slow down a lot.
Right.
That's because power is being regenerated from the braking system back into the battery. If you drive, once you're familiar with how the car feels, you can drive an electric vehicle, and especially a Tesla, with one foot, one pedal. And creep mode is exactly what you think it is.
That Radiohead shows up and plays a concert.
That's joke book mode, which is not available on this car. Autopilot.
Okay.
This is interesting, and it's important to understand it. In the first release of the Model 3, the only place you could set your radar and autopilot follow distance, the car in front, was here. And that really sucked, because if you set the distance too far, say 7 car lengths.
Oh, and you can see it there. Okay.
Then cars could cut in front of you. Right. Your car would then slow down to compensate, and if the car in front of you got out of the way, your car would rapidly accelerate to close the distance again. So a lot of people like to use a closer distance, which I do. But for that to be safe, you really need to be paying attention.
So 1 car length is pretty close following anyway.
It's close.
And it's probably traffic mode more than anything else, or unless you're really, really paying attention.
Yeah. All those things are true.
Okay.
Auto steer, this is the thing that a lot of people have trouble with, because auto steer is what makes the system become autopilot, which is really a term for the combination of lane keeping and radar cruise control. The reason it's in beta, well, if you're a pessimist, it's because it's never going to work. And if you're an optimist, it's because it's getting better all the time. Because the car's got wireless.
So if you're short the company, it's never going to work.
Yeah.
And if you're
long, this is the best feature ever. So I happen to think Autopilot's terrific for the user who understands it and is paying attention. It's terrific. If you're not paying attention, then it says it's as dangerous as you are as a driver, like any car. I'm a bit of an optimist for all such systems, and I think the Tesla is probably one of the best.
So now auto lane change, if I'm right, is it will change lanes when you use the blinkers.
I consider this a bit of a kludgy feature in any car. The way it works is you have a turn signal indicator. The system has ultrasonic sensors ringing the car. If it sees a vehicle in the neighboring lane, it will not change lanes. If the lane is clear, it will change lanes. The problem is that if a car is closing the distance at high speed behind you in one of the other lanes, you might move into the lane and get struck from behind. The only way to solve that would be if this car had a rear radar, which it does not. But it should be noted that even cars that have rear radar, like the Mercedes E-Class, do not link the rear radar to the lane change system. So this, like all automated lane change systems, requires the user to look in the mirror, if not over your shoulder, to be truly safe. And the word auto it's
more automatic than autonomous.
Well, yeah, because automation and autonomy are not the same thing. But even automation for the average person is a dangerous word to use, because they don't understand what automation means. They think it means autonomous, and it does not.
So true auto lane change with a rear radar is like next generation.
Yeah,
it's that kind
because
of stuff.
It doesn't just require a radar; it requires software linking the rear radar to the logic of the lane changing system.
And none of the Teslas have it right
now.
No,
the thing is, no car has what I
has it connected, but like the Mercedes has at least.
It has a rear radar, but the rear radar in that car doesn't. No one makes a fully autonomous lane change system that's safe. There are automated systems that require a human to be in the loop.
Okay. So summon.
This is a wonderful feature, especially if you have a very tight parking spot. It allows you to use your phone app to move the car into and out of parking spaces.
Oh, that's cool. That is actually cool. I mean, that's to me, that's sort of one of the killer apps of
it's great.
Of Tesla.
It's wonderful. So then you've got safety and security, which again is set and forget. You can have an alarm, or so you can limit the car's top speed.
Yeah.
Yada yada. Service. I hope you never have to use this in any car. You have a Jaguar. I have a Morgan, and now we're in a Tesla. It can't be towed. If you tap towing, it'll tell you it cannot be towed. And
I mean, it says that transport mode is available for 20 minutes, and so if it's rolled faster than 5 miles, so you can push it for 20 minutes.
Let's just hope that NYC towing doesn't show up and try to grab your car.
That's a good point.
That's really bad.
If you park in the wrong spot and you get your car towed, it's gonna screw your car up.
It's not good.
It's probably going to screw your car up. We haven't checked that.
Let's not find out.
Okay.
And then the owner's manual. This is entertaining because the manual changes over time. The autopilot features evolve. I'm guessing that most people don't actually read this, which is too bad, because of all the cars in which you want to read the manual, Tesla's the one.
I could imagine.
Glove box control.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah. So then we get into infotainment. Tap it once and the basic control set comes up, and you can drag it up. And here you can see, you can do search. The thing about the Tesla infotainment is that it's deceptively simple, but it also conceals options you want. There's no CarPlay or Android Auto.
You know, that's interesting, because I would have at least hoped that Apple CarPlay or Android Auto was on here.
Well, like Apple, it's a proprietary ecosystem limited to streaming, Slacker streaming, who uses, no one outside of Tesla uses Slacker. TuneIn, which, well...
See, it's that walled garden stuff that they try to keep you inside there, and they make their own content deals. I'm not a big fan of that. I want to do what I want to do. Right?
I mean, like any other car with limitations to the infotainment, you can tether your phone by Bluetooth or USB cable, and then use the apps on your phone.
But then you need to put your phone here, and then make sure that you use it.
You only have to put it here if you want to use the built-in charger.
But I mean, if you're using Spotify like I do, you're gonna have to use Spotify on there.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Okay.
It's decent. The thing about the infotainment in this car is because it's an electric vehicle, the noise floor is very low.
Right.
And at moderate volume levels, actually sounds better than in technically better systems in internal combustion vehicles.
Wow.
This car does not have as an option the upgrade audio system, which in the S and X is really, really terrific. Mm-hmm. So here you've got your phone control screen. You can tether your phones. I find that the phone Bluetooth setup in Teslas is really fast and very reliable, and I really like it. Seat heat.
Oh, right there. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And so...
Well, here you get to the really, like, one of the best features of the Tesla is the AC controls. So here you can drag the air control anywhere you want. Instead of having multiple vents around the car.
It's directional.
Yeah. There's a single...
Wait a minute. How does that work? How did you just do that? Oh, it's a single. It's not a pinch. But you can directionalize your...
Correct.
Your AC.
You can also link them. So you can link them so it goes in one spot. And the best thing about the system is that instead of having multiple vents around the car, it's got this single vent going across. You can see it right here. So you have really terrific detailed control over where the air goes. It's wonderful.
I mean, granted, like, we're used to doing this a lot, but like this is kind of cool. And
I mean, it's vastly superior.
You
can split it up by
how do you
pressing
split?
this button.
Oh, you have to use that to split it, and then it's a single thing.
I mean, look at an S and an X have actually really small vents for luxury vehicles compared to like a Mercedes, which is these big, beautiful vents in the center. This is a terrific system. This is probably one of the most revolutionary things Tesla has done. I wish all cars had it. The audio volume control is duplicated over here on the left side of the steering wheel with the scroll wheel, which is really nice.
Okay, so that's the left scroll wheel. What does the right scroll wheel do?
So the right scroll wheel is interesting because when the car was first released, it was the Achilles heel of the car because it didn't do anything. I complain about it. A lot of people complained about it. And Tesla, because the car is wirelessly updatable, really went to town and solved the problem of the scroll wheel and linked it to the Autopilot control system. Actually, the right scroll wheel is tethered to the last piece of functionality which you want to use. But the most important use of it is for Autopilot, because if you are using radar cruise control and or Autopilot, you want to be able to control not just the distance to the car in front of you, which is a left-right thing.
Look at that.
You want to be able to control the speed. It's not apparent to us now because we're stationary, but you can control the Autopilot speed and radar cruise speed by scrolling up and down.
Oh.
This makes the Autopilot interface in the 3 better than the S or the X. This is something which it's amazing that everyone doesn't do it this way, because in almost every other vehicle, the cruise control is on a stalk,
right?
And it's a tap up, tap down system, which is kludgy. This is the perfect iteration of that type of interface.
And that's on the newest update.
That's the latest update, Model 3. They updated it about probably about 2 months after the car was released, and it's perfect.
Right.
They couldn't do a better job. The one downside of the center-mounted display, and it's specific to Tesla because of partially because of Autopilot, but because of the camera and radar system, is that it diminishes the effectiveness of the situational awareness display. In a Model S and a Model X, in the center of the gauge cluster is a display which shows other vehicles. It also shows the lane markings. So in order to use Autopilot effectively, you want to know what its confidence level is. When people engage it in places they shouldn't, and the system disengages and surprises them, it's a function of them being overconfident in a system they don't understand. If you want to understand how well Autopilot's going to function, you want to know what the system is thinking. And the only way to know its confidence level is by seeing whether the car recognizes 1 or 2 lane markings, and whether or not the Tesla is locked onto the vehicle in front. The lane markings are seen by the camera here. The vehicles are seen by the radar in the front bumper. So when Autopilot is engaged, it will indicate 1 or 2 lane markings in blue, and it will identify the vehicle in front that it's locked onto.
Right.
And that if all 3 things are lit up, then the system is very confident. And I'm not suggesting you shouldn't be paying attention, but you don't need to be as nervous as, say, a driver as you might be otherwise.
Well, it's part of driver engagement. If you know what the car's thinking, right? I mean, it's part of the new kind of driving that you really have to do in a Tesla. It's not like, you know, people do the thing where they're not paying attention and reading a book or whatnot, and they're not supposed to be doing that anyway.
You're supposed to be paying attention all the time, no matter what.
Right, but that really helps with driver engagement in this car while you're on Autopilot.
It's certainly, if you're using Autopilot and you only have 1 lane marking lit up and nothing else, that means you're using Autopilot in a place you probably shouldn't be.
Right.
And the other thing about the situational awareness display in the S and the X, which is terrific, is when the vehicle's under total human control and you are driving, being able to see what the car sees, sometimes 2 vehicles ahead. Say you're behind a truck and you want to pass the truck. You can see the vehicles beyond it in the center display. If you have to take your eyes off of the road or off of the dash and look off axis from the direction of travel, that's an extra second. It's a little bit less effective. Now, it should be said, no other car on the road today has a situational awareness display at all. The fact that Tesla includes it at all is wonderful. It's just not as effective as it used to be in the S and the X.
Because you have to look sort of off
Because you have
axis.
to look off axis. When it was here, and you could drive with a little more confidence because you have a little bit more information.
Right.
And the only way, I mean, if anything, the most effective method would be to have a heads-up display, superimposed icons, but that no one's moving in that direction. It's too expensive.
Okay, anything else? Are we missing
There's a couple other things. I'm agnostic on a few of the other controls. For example, if you want to use the trip computer, you have to swipe right and then scroll down for all the functionality. It's a little and you swipe this way, you have car status. Here you have, you tap this, you have your charging information, which you're only using when you're stopped, really. And then, this is the camera, rear camera. The only reason you'd be using the rear camera in motion would be to spot police cars behind you if you're speeding. I find this to be a wonderful feature. I'm thrilled that they put it so close to, it's one, I mean, I'm not suggesting that you have to do that. And then up here you have some supplemental controls. Tap here and you get your car. You can name your car. I would name it,
Steve?
I'd like to name it Robert Paulson. And if you don't know what that means, you should just Google it. Robert Paulson.
You could name it Bob Peterson.
No one's going to get that joke. Right. If you scroll down or swipe down, you get the Easter eggs. More cowbell. If you tap down on the stock 4 times, you'll get Don't Fear the Reaper. It's really annoying.
Well, wait a minute. So that's the other thing, is that they're the only car company that puts Easter eggs and crap in your on your display.
I mean, it's cute. I mean, it's got personality. Then here you've got your drawing display. We could
you can. So wait a minute. What are you supposed to do? You have Mac Paint while you're driving.
This is you should.
Can,
I wonder.
Does
does this work while the car's in motion? I hope not.
I don't know.
It really shouldn't. Wait, there's a publish function. What is that? What does that do?
So this car is named Robert Paulson, and now
yes.
Wait, what? Did it just? You just published this somewhere?
I hope not. That could be dangerous.
Well,
and then what else do we have? We've got Mars.
All right, wait a minute. This is Mars. Oh, wait a minute. That just picked up what I was saying and then told the car.
The final Easter egg is the Mars surface.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Anyway,
all right, so
that's Mars surface.
Yeah, right. So that's the Mars surface. Here you can see the Wi-Fi networks. If you connect the vehicle to Wi-Fi, it will perform updates over Wi-Fi, which is good because this is really one of Tesla's big strengths. It's wirelessly updatable.
Yeah.
Also,
well, it's kind of the killer app.
It's
of
the
this
killer
car.
app of the car. And since your car is gathering data all the time from all the various sensors, they have what's called fleet learning functionality. And they were the first manufacturer, I think, to do this. So it shares data about your driving, where you are, what happens, other cars, and that data goes to Tesla Cloud. And over time, that, in theory, improves their neural nets to improve Autopilot and hopefully get them to full self-driving.
I mean, that's part of the plan and part of the deal.
Well, what's interesting about fleet learning and the wireless updates is that Google has deployed a couple hundred vehicles through the Waymo division and to gather data, and other manufacturers have a few dozen cars. Tesla's got several 100,000 cars on the road gathering data, so that should scale, and that should be of great value to them someday.
So the data they're collecting is of huge intellectual property value.
I mean, people say data is the new oil, but really, data is the new. It's got to be processed in order to become of value. Clever. And so that's what's going on.
So it's like crude oil.
It's like crude oil. Data is the new crude oil.
Very good to talk to you about this. What would you say on a scale of 1 to 10, where are they right now?
I love the system. I'd give it like an 8.5 or a 9.
Wow.
Because it's got a few things I'd improve. But I'd say every other car company on the planet, in terms of getting, is at like a 4.
Wow.
Yeah. So.